And one of the reasons I love the Catskills so much is because they're so technical that you can't really think. You have to transcend thinking and enter flow state, where you are literally able to react quicker than your prefrontal cortex can actually process information. So like flow state is the superior, it's not even a thought process. It's just a brain function where you can act in a superior manner to actually like thinking,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like you see that rock, but you don't even like, you're not really thinking about putting your foot there. You just do. And then the next one, you're just floating over the train. You're not like intellectualizing like, oh, here's a rock there, and that one's mossy. Like it all happens so quick. And it's such a fun, unique state of mind to be in.
Yeah. And that's the way I see it with you guys is basically, you're running down the trail, you're going down on the descent, and you're just like, you have that adrenaline rush. Like, man, I'm making some freaking good time. And then you get that huge adrenaline rush to go off. And you got that.
The bushwhacks were some of the worst days I've ever had in the mountains, or life, really.
Whereas Panther Mountain is totally opposite. It's a mountain on top of a crater.
I think the weather challenges on this incident were particularly difficult.
It was really the development of New York State. Catskills were responsible.
Now you're listening to Inside the Line, the Catskills.
So, Josh, welcome to the show, my friend. How you doing?
Muchas gracias. Very well, man. It's funny. You thought I was in an airplane when I first came on here, but I am indeed coming to you from a tin can that is my bus.
Where are you at right now?
I'm parked outside of a gym in Durango. Gonna hop in for an easy workout after this. And they got good Wi-Fi, actually. I'd be going inside, but it's probably louder in there.
Wow. Unbelievable. So where's that located again? You in Colorado?
Yeah, Durango is southwest Colorado. It's pretty neat. It's like, the way I explain it, it's kind of like where the desert meets the mountains. So if I drive 30 minutes south, it's pretty flat. And you start seeing some pretty cool, like Western looking rock formations, like from like spaghetti Westerns and whatnot. But then I can drive 50 minutes north and be in Silverton, where hard rock takes place with 13,000 foot, 14,000 foot mountains. So it's a pretty nice spot.
Wow. What a life, man. What a life. That's number one, that smile on your face shows that you are living the life right there.
I'm pretty happy with it. I also got my partner on the floor. I'll keep her private, but she's in here working with me, so I got a pretty good life living in here with her.
So, I mean, you can't keep that secret. What's going on with your partner? A cat, dog?
Nah, it's my girlfriend.
No, well, tell her I said hi. Stosh says hi.
Stosh says hi, Abs.
I can see your bike. Jesus, man. Hi. What an incredible life, man. I'm so jealous right now.
It's good. Well, it's kind of funny, man, because when I was daydreamed a bunch when I was like in middle school, and I just look out the window and think like, how can I be free? I was just kind of looking forward to the future, like college and stuff. And like I love my parents, but I wasn't really into their job and their lifestyle. I thought like there's gotta be kind of more to it. So I always daydreamed about how to, be free. And then I kind of had some shitty jobs and some good jobs, through my 20s. While I was watching some friends, I had some friends that went to ESF, like Environmental Science and Forestry School in Syracuse, and they'd go study forestry, and then like all summer they would just go dirtbag and rock climb like in Moab for 2 months straight and just live out of their truck. I was like, that is the coolest shit. And it kind of ended up coming around like with COVID. I was personal training, and then I found the opportunity to do remote coaching. So it's like, okay, I have my computer, I have my phone, I can work anywhere, I can be anywhere. And just like some other life circumstances happen, I was like, I'm moving to my van. I can work from wherever the hell I want to be, go up to the White Mountains and have some fun up there. And then I ended up out here. So yeah, I can travel around, I can work. All I need is Wi-Fi.
Wow. Unbelievable. I'm so jealous, man. Congratulations. What a life, man.
I appreciate it, man. But I got it's the disclaimer, there's always like the trade-offs. I see like you're in a room, you're in a house, maybe you have air conditioning, maybe you have like temperature control and good bathrooms, there's all that shit that you got. So there's some trade-offs there. It's hot as hell in here right now, and you still got like going to gyms and whatnot or whatever to use a shower or find a nice creek. So there's trade-offs there, but the freedom's there.
That's smart though. That is very smart. Like my friend was talking about that on previous episode, was just like, you pay, a $40 fee and you can work out and you can also shower and go to the bathroom and stuff. So, very good, very good. Smart, man. Josh. Wow. I'm jealous. So Josh, I don't know if you're too familiar with the Catskill region, but a lot of shit has been happening in the Catskills in the past like week or two. I always expect this stuff coming from the Adirondacks, like rescues here and there, rain, stuff like that, hypothermia. But the Catskills is where it's happening with these rescues. So I'm going to talk about a bunch of rescues. Chime in whenever you want, please. You've done the Catskills before, and basically the rugged terrain that they have and the unexpected stuff that we have here. So let's talk about August 12th in Hunter. Lieutenant Slade, Ranger Dawson, Ranger Fox responded to a report of a hiker with a leg injury along Catskill Creek streambed. So, of course, you think of Catskill Creek, you instantly think of Fallen Sleep because everybody goes there.
I've jumped it years ago. I jumped it. Yeah.
Did you do a flip?
I think I did a backflip off of it. I wasn't cool enough to do a gainer. I didn't have the balls to do that yet. But yeah, just like the lower platform. I'm pretty sure there was like some 60-year-old that went up like on the side of it and then climbed a tree, to get up another 25, 30 feet and then dropped in. It's like shit, man.
I remember
pretty
that.
badass, but I feel like things changed. I stopped going, and I feel like someone said there had been a lot more debris in there, like maybe like rocks had fallen or trees had kind of gone over, and it maybe wasn't safe to jump anymore. So, man, I haven't been there in a decade.
Correct, and people are also inexperienced as you and that 60-year-old guy. This guy was 38 years old from Colorado. You sure this wasn't you? You're younger than that, aren't you?
How old is that guy?
38.
38. Yeah, I'm younger. Yeah, but
yeah, exactly. So Ranger Dawson bushwhacked down the steep terrain and reached a patient around 3:30. So that was about 2 hours it took him to reach him. Provided first aid and crutches, and Ranger Dawson helped the subject and his family through the woods up a steep slope through 23A, where Slade and Ranger Fox provided a courtesy ride. So once again, Fallen Sleep, crazy. So August 14th, Ranger responded to report to an injured swimmers at Fallen Sleep. When they arrived, the 21-year-old was at the roadside awaiting assistance. She was taken by ambulance to the Albany Medical Center. Once again, Fallen Sleep. This was last week. I mentioned this, but I didn't know the details, so details came out. So once again, Fallen Sleep, crazy.
What was her injury?
They just said she was at roadside assistance, so I'm guessing she jumped off, rolled an ankle, or something like that. It was nothing serious, so that's good. Very good. So same day, town of Lexington, Alwyn received a call from Frost Valley YMCA director about a camper who fell 10 feet off a rock face at John Robb Lean-To. So John Robb Lean-To is right off of the Hunter Mountain Trail in Spruceton. So one of the member was a wilderness first responder, which is good. Alwyn Fox Peterson and Assistant Forest Ranger Zelnick reached the 11-year-old from Brooklyn at 1:30 p.m. So 11 years old, probably taking chances of just sitting on the edge and actually fell off. Have you ever been to the John Robb Lean-To, Josh?
I'm trying to think of where that is. I know the Lean-To up on Hunter. Like if you go up from 214, you pass the split where you can either go up to the tower or stay straight on Devil's Path. And then I know there's a Lean-To right there. Is that the one?
There's another one. If you go to the split to the right, that leads you down to another Lean-To that has an amazing overlook of the Spruceton Valley.
No shit. No, I haven't been to that one.
Definitely, if you're out in here, take that opportunity and go out and check that view and maybe spend a night there. I would suggest during the week because the weekend it's absolutely insane. But
oh, dude, you're telling me.
So the patient had a back injury and complained of pain while speaking. The Rangers stabilized the camper in a vacuum mattress and a litter and carried it out in the Rangers vehicle. So, of course, being a fire tower, they could drive up and make it easier for the Rangers instead of carrying out. Drove it to Trailhead, Ashland Ambulance and Greene County paramedics and Lexington Rescue responded at 5:16 p.m. Ashland Ambulance transported the patient to the hospital. So, once again, crazy stuff. Town of Hunter, Greene County, on August 19th, for Rangers France and Mitchell reported to a Mooresbridge Falls report of a subject stuck in the water. Wow. Mooresbridge is down south from Fawn's Leap, a little bit further down 23A. Twin Cloves Technical Rescue Team, which is an awesome team from the area of Hunter, and Rangers reached the subject by 6 p.m., so it took around 1.5 hours for them to get there. 26-year-old from Bayside was stuck in a crevasse, and rescuers freed her from the crevasse and rigged her for a high-angle rope rescue and system to help her off stream. The Hunter ambulance transported the subject to the hospital at 7:20 p.m. So crazy instance once again with a crevasse, and luckily that person did not unfortunately pass away like the 16-year-old did on Fawn's Leap when they got caught in the current and got stuck between a crevasse and died on August 14th. That was a crazy incident. So once again, man, this Catterskill Clove area is absolutely freaking prone to injuries.
Yeah, man. I haven't been up there in a couple of years now, really, because I have spent a lot of time in the Catskills. Like I grew up in Red Hook, right on the Hudson River, across from the Catskills, but I didn't even get in there until like my early 20s. But yeah, like I've noticed over the years the increase in people coming up from the city, hanging out up there, the amount of trash increasing, the amount of traffic. Yeah, it's bound to happen. People are going up there to party, maybe have a couple drinks, and they just don't know.
Yeah.
They're not experienced, and it's just like by volume, just by sheer numbers and a percentage. Like the more people that go up, there's bound to be more accidents.
Correct. And there's with the social media and stuff like that, there's more info about what happened and stuff like that instead of just keeping it to maybe something that happened tragically. And we get hopefully more info will bring more awareness to people and more education that this is not just Fawn's Leap is just an easy place to go in for a jump, and it's actually like tragic at times and stuff like that. So talking about Fawn's Leap, August 19th, a woman escaped with only minor injuries after she fell more than 50 feet from a cliff near Fawn's Leap. Kingston Fire Department said they responded at 4:49 p.m. and also, Twin Cloves Technical Rescue Team and the Centerville Cedar Crew Fire Department, Greene County Paramedics, New York State Forest Rangers, and Greene County Sheriff's Office. So everybody was involved. They did a rescue plan. Firefighters said she was located in Swiftwater. Took several hours and many specialized techniques, including twin tension row system, which is two separate row systems used in a tandem to share the load. And the Kings firefighters added she was rescued at 7:20 and was set into the hospital at around 8 p.m. So once again, someone who has nearly bit the bullet again at Fawn's Leap. So apparently this place is prone to injuries and, how do I say it? Stupidity? Is that uneducational?
Yeah, just not educated. And another thing about like the social media is I'll even see it. Like here I am out here in Colorado, but I'll be like going through Instagram and I'll see something pop up about the beautiful Catskills or Catterskill. I'm like, so much for secrets, and that's how everyone is. It's like being here, like in the San Juan Mountains. People are like, shh,
Yeah,
it's
right.
tough not to share. It's tough not to share things. People are going to go out and explore. And it's like shit. The city folk, they're only like 2 hours from the Catskills.
Yeah.
It's so accessible. I'm pretty sure they get bored of the breakneck climb pretty quick and end up traveling a little further north.
Correct. And I mean, you being out in Colorado right now, it's probably the same with Denver and the high peaks and area, Garden of Gods and stuff like that, right?
I mean, I'm pretty far from Denver. I can't hang out around Denver. It's way
Okay.
too populated. It's nuts. But I mean, haven't hung out there. So I actually flew into New York to do the Escarpment, which I think you know about. So I hung out up in Denver for like a week prior to that. And my girl and I, we didn't want to stay in the city. It was just like loud and it was hot. So we drove up to like Netherlands, where it was a few thousand feet higher. It was cooler, quieter. And so we drove up there to a campground. We saw some moose, but we also saw a bunch of people that clearly were like city folk, just like the way they had their camp set up, the stuff they were wearing, and also like the amount of trash that was around. It's like those are the marks of the city folk. So if you're from the city and you're listening to this, don't leave trash. Don't leave trash and get educated and become one of them true mountain folk.
Yeah, I agree. And that's just what sucks is I'm trying to reach out to the more, I know the educated listen to this podcast, and I want to reach out more to the uneducated and get them to tell, leave no trace, stuff like that. It's simple to bring your trash with you back home and throw it out in a dumpster or your own trash, stuff like that. It's so tough to reach out to that, and I want to get it with the DEC. Hopefully people like you, once again, like connecting, making those connections, and to get to people that might not know would leave no trace, and that you can throw away your stuff when you bring it back home for 2 hours. It's not going to smell bad in your car. It's not going to be horrible. I mean, I've ridden with like dog crap in the back of my car for 6-7 hours, and maybe at the last like 20 minutes you're like, oh man, that's reeks, that's horrible. But but so one more rescue and then we'll get on to the episode. So in Shandaken on August 21st, which was yesterday, so we're recording on 22nd, which is Tuesday, Forest Ranger Martin received a call from Raybook Dispatch about an injured subject on Mount Tremper at 3:10 a.m. So 3:10 in the morning. Ranger Martin made a phone call contact with a 36-year-old from Connecticut who claimed that he got in an altercation with his hiking companion and was believed he was being hunted like a predator.
Oh my God.
This is the first time I'm reading this, so that's why this is a natural reaction. Nice.
That's hilarious. That's simultaneously terrifying for them and like kind of hilarious for the rest of us. I'm like, was this person on shrooms?
Yeah, right. The hiker twisted his ankle while escaping. 3 more rangers responded with a 6-wheeler and found the subject at 5:50. So that took 2 hours and 40 minutes.
His friend's a slow hunter.
He was found asleep off the trail. Nice.
What about the other guy? Turns out there was no other guy.
No, right? That's where the shrooms come in. The guy ate the wrong mushrooms. So rangers then found the hiking companion, a 31-year-old from Beacon, in the Mount Tremper lean-to. Interviews of both subjects indicated significant drug and alcohol impairment. Yes.
Saw that coming.
Both subjects were looked by Shandaken EMS. Dude, this is the best crap I've ever gotten. So Josh, I'm so glad you're on here.
Dude, yes. That's pretty funny, man. Oh my God.
Wow. Unbelievable. This is great.
I want to know more.
I know, right? I got to get this person on the podcast. Be like, what the hell happened?
God.
Significant, dude.
Hopefully they're laughing about it now, man.
I know. Why would you hike Tremper though? Tremper's a bitch to get up.
It is pretty steep.
Yeah,
that's a nice one. But yeah, lots of bears. That's the thing that scares me, man. I'm like, I'm cool with everything, but bears frighten me.
Yeah, and you're out west, so the grizzly bears are there, right? Correct? Have you?
No, too far south, fortunately.
Okay. So that's good, and I mean,
sure is.
Grizzly bears are a pain in the ass. So, all right. So everyone, thank you for listening and welcome to episode 89 of Inside the Line, the Catskill Mountains podcast. I have Joshua Reid here, but it says on his thing that's Joshua Reidengeider. What does that say?
Yeah, exactly. So no one says it the way I think it's supposed to be pronounced. And let's be real, I don't even know how it's supposed to be pronounced. The Americanized way of saying that last name is Reidinger. Now I talked to someone from Germany because it's a German name, And they said it's a Southern German name, and out there it's pronounced Friedinger. I'm like, okay, well that fucking sucks. I'm not telling anyone it sounds like that because they're not going to be able to say it right. So they're going to keep messing it up. Hence, why I just go with Reid. Let's go.
Okay.
And people will still say Ride, but I'm like, okay, that's a better mispronunciation than Radinger or Riedinger or whatever. So
Riedinger.
Yeah, so it's Joshua Riedinger, but I go by Joshua Reid.
Okay, Joshua Reid, who recently won the 2023 Escarpment Trail run at 2 hours and 51 minutes. Am I correct?
And some change, yeah.
And some change, but who cares about seconds? Nobody freaking realizes about seconds. Who cares about that? And he also set the Devil's Path fastest known time. Him and Steven have gone at it for the past couple of years, and I'm excited to talk about. So, Josh, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you, officially.
Yeah, and once again, I love these smiles because a lot of people join this and they're just like, I don't know what I'm getting myself into, but I told you before this show that it's a laid back freaking episode, and you are already number one swearing, which I love. So that makes it comfortable for me because I swear, and when people who don't swear, they don't swear at all. So, is this your first podcast, sir?
No, and that's probably why. I've been on a few now, and the first one I was a little buttoned up and proper, and but but yeah, I've definitely loosened up as the episodes have gone by.
Sweet. I'm glad you are definitely loosened up because this is a laid back episode or a laid back podcast, and we just have some freaking fun talking about the Catskills. So let me get on with this. Thank you to the monthly supporters, Darren White, Vicky Ferrer, John Comiskey, Jim C., Michael Bongner, David Mead, Matt Smith, and Sharon Client. Thank you for supporting the show. Also, thank you to sponsors Outdoor Chronicles Photography. Molly from Outdoors Chronicles Photography specializes in adventure elopement and adventure couple photography in the Catskills, Adirondacks, and the White Mountains. She is also an officiant for getting married and a licensed guide, but she is also a story maker. Molly won't give you just photos. She'll give you memories that will last forever. Don't hesitate to get a hold of Molly on all platforms. Also, have you ever wanted to learn more about hiking and backpacking, or even just brush up on some old skills in the backcountry? Check out Trailbound Project, a hiking and backpacking school. Scott and Joe from the New Jersey Search and Rescue Team have amazing backgrounds in wilderness first aid, wilderness first responding, and the Mountain Rescue Association, and they are there for you to learn old and new skills of hiking and backpacking. They teach first aid, map and compass, and many other skills that could help you out and others while on the trail. So check them out on their website and social media platforms. They have daily updates and daily activities, weekly activities as well. So check them out. So, Josh, what are you drinking tonight, buddy?
Man, I just got agua. Let's see, I was chugging. Where's the empty bottle? There it is. Empty bottle. This stuff's great right here. High quality, simply lemonade. Okay.
Nice.
Now the store around here, they've been doing like if you buy 5 or more, it's $1.79 instead of $2.99. So you bet your ass I'm buying 5 at a time and drinking at least like one of these a day. I mean, just like with all the training, I'm just smashing sugar and carbs and whatnot. So
yeah. I couldn't even imagine. How can you fit that? What do you have a normal size refrigerator in there?
No, I got a cooler. It's I forget how many quarts it goes by, but it's enough for 2 big bags of ice, 2 7-pound bags of ice, and enough food for a few days. I make a lot of grocery trips though. I mean, with all the food I eat and like the fact that I have to keep getting ice and all this shit. So yeah, no refrigerator. That'll be in the next bus.
No shit. Do you have a vlog or blog that you're doing this? Because I am severely interested.
No, I've kept this pretty low key. The whole like van life thing. Like if you look at my Instagram, it says like van life tendencies. But I'm not like posting a lot about what my van looks like. It's sort of in my stories, but I'm not trying to give too much detail. And if you look at the outside of this thing, it doesn't have solar panels, an AC unit, and shit hanging out the side, or fucking mushrooms paint on the side of it or anything. Like it's very discreet. It kind of looks like a charter bus, and it just kind of blends in everywhere. So yeah, I'm trying to keep it discreet because when you stand out, you don't want attention doing this lifestyle. Like you might think it's cool, other people might think it's cool, but like not all law enforcement think it's the coolest thing in the world. Hooligans out there, might want to mess with your shit. So yeah, I keep it pretty low key.
You need spray paint on the sign. I'm poor. Leave me alone.
Yeah, right. Financially poor and otherwise rich.
Rich in life, basically, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You know, my wife have been talking about that about the past couple of years of what we're going to do when we retire, and that sounds like what we want to do. Low key, but travel as much as we can and visit as much as we can.
Dude, money goes far with this lifestyle.
Yeah, but I won't be able to retire till I'm like 106. So,
Well,
welcome
with
to
the way
America.
technology's going, the way technology's going in medicine, you'll probably live to at least 170. So, it's a solid 60 something years of retirement.
That'd be nice, right? Wouldn't that be nice?
I wonder, dude. The world's pretty populated. Can you fucking imagine? Like, you have 20-year-olds, you got 160-year-olds walking around, such different like generations. That would be chaos. That'd be crazy.
That would be. That would be. So, besides the Escarpment Trail, you've been on any previous hikes, sir?
Any previous hikes?
Yeah,
So
nothing local around your area that you're in.
Oh, so many, dude. So right now I'm training for grindstone. So I've been doing. I had a couple of down weeks, just like around 40, 50 miles, just traveling around like for Escarpment. But otherwise, I'm doing like 90 miles up in the San Juans. So that's been. I've checked out most of the hard rock course at this point. There's a few more sections of it that I want to check out, but yeah, I'll go out for like Friday. I did 23 miles, and it's like run hiking. Like, it's steep, it's high altitude, so you're hiking the ups and then running the flats and the downs, kind of. And then Saturday I ran 27 miles and only hiked like a mile. So most of the stuff out here is like, you can run a bunch of it. Some of the bigger mountain stuff you have to hike. So yeah, I'm doing a lot of hiking, a lot of running, a lot of training. I'm getting ready for Grindstone 100K, which is in Virginia on September 23rd. So got a few more weeks of big volume before traveling and then tapering down.
Unbelievable, dude. So what's like the elevation gain that you do during a day, like out there?
It's so the way I've kind of changed up the way I train in a week. I used to do kind of like an even amount of stuff each day. Like, say I wanted, 21,000 feet of gain in a week, I would do like maybe 2 to 3,000 a day, and then do like 5 to 7 for the long run. But now I have a little bit more of a split. I'm trying something differently that's working for me right now, and that's pretty low vert for like Monday through Thursday. But then I'm doing like 5 to 7 Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I end up getting like 20 to 26 for the week.
Jesus Christ, my knees are already hurting from you saying that.
Dude, it's amazing, man. It's kind of I've really enjoyed, like, training needs to be inspiring. At least it needs to be inspiring for me. Like, I'm never really like putting my feet down and just like getting miles in because like I need to do them. Like, I fucking love all of the training that I do. And like when you're in the mountains up here, like the San Juans are just so incredible. And the Catskills were too. It's just so easy to spend a big day. Like, the miles tick by, the vert ticks by, and you're just like enjoying where you're at. So it doesn't feel like so much work. It's just like, yeah, I'm out here, man. It's easy to spend hours and hours and just accumulate all of this volume.
That's what it's about, man. That is the positivity I look for, and I want to be. That's you're an inspiration. That's what it is. It's awesome. So recently, I went on a hike up Huckleberry Point, nowhere near the volume that you did, but I got to lead a bunch of people on their 12-step program hike. Do you know what a 12-step program is?
I believe that's AA.
Yep. Okay. Anybody who has had substance and alcohol, abuse and stuff like that, who are joining to get over it. And it was a fantastic time. I met a bunch of great people, and we checked out Huckleberry Point. Some people had never hiked before, and it was an amazing experience. They got to see somewhat of a beautiful view. It seemed like the smoke was back in the area, but it might have been hazy. Mm-hmm. But they were just like, this was fantastic. But Huckleberry Point is absolutely horrible of a trail. It has a lot of mud.
So it's muddy. Yeah.
Horrible trail. So they got to experience.
Luckily, it's short.
Yeah. They got to experience mud. They got to experience water crossings. They got to experience a bunch of different things. on the way down, we're about 3/4 of the way down, and all of a sudden, this one girl and her dog and a little 4-year-old girl likes to just go up on the rim of the trail, and all of a sudden I hear screaming, and I'm just like, oh my God, what is it? A bear attack? Is it a wolf? Not a wolverine, but like a mink attack or something like that. And she's yelling wasp. There's wasp all around me. So I freaking run up and I grab the 4-year-old. I get her out of there because I know she is helpless. And I just run down the trail a little bit. All of a sudden, her father is sitting up there getting stung by yellow jackets galore. This other lady is getting stung, but she has a little small beagle dog, and they're screaming like crazy. Luckily, the father is a badass, and he was just like, yeah, I'm fine. And I'm like, take the girls, move, get the hell out of here. The other girl is rolling around in the water and the mud on the trail. And I'm like, I seriously say, you got to fucking move, get down the trail. They're swarming you. And we start to move down the trail. And she got stung like 15 times. It was absolutely insane. The little girl got stung twice, which we were very fortunate. So she was 4 years old. She got stung on the hand and on the side. Her hand started to swell up. She was fine. She's a badass. The other girl got stung 15 times, and her dog was a little scared. So I carried her down the trail probably for like a half a mile or something. And it was a crazy experience. And I don't know what to say. It was just, a lot of things that can happen during a little 4.5 mile hike.
I'll just say, man, that was a crazy turn of events.
Yeah, it was going good.
Have such a nice day. Look at this great view. Oh my God, run. Dude, that's like all you can do with those. Like, what was it? Someone step on a ground nest or something?
It must have. The dog was tracking something, and she, of course, let the dog track it. And luckily, the dog didn't get stung. So the dog was terrified of everybody else and like of what was going on because multiple.
What's happening?
Yeah, it was just multiple people screaming, and luckily, like a lot of people just froze. And I was just like, I ran back up and just grabbed everybody and told them to move because I'm just like, they're going to swarm you and they're going to keep stinging you. Why are you staying still? Like, I felt like a dickhead just yelling at them. I'm like seriously, I said, like I said, this, I say all the time, my sponsors know what they're getting into. I'm like, fucking move, get down the trail, move. And we got down the trail eventually. The one girl that got stung 15 times and the guy, they were badasses. They just kept going on. The girl was fine. And she just started talking.
So much adrenaline.
Right. And she just just started talking like it was normal, like day. And her dog was a little shaken up. I carried her like a half mile and I let it down and it was fine. So she was just terrified of everything, but amazing, time to get
amazing hike otherwise.
Yes. Amazing experience to get maybe people. I was just like, man, I hope they're interested in hiking after this.
Yeah. Right.
I was just like, man, what a horrible introduction.
Dude, I wonder if that girl that got stung 15 times was like tripping off of all of that wasp venom.
Well, apparently she's hiked before in the Catskills, and she's just like, yeah, I've dealt with this crap before. So I'm like, okay, I'm thankful for that. So crazy hike on Sunday, which was the 20th. So crazy stuff. Once again,
yeah, dude, Huckleberry, like that trail going up to Huckleberry and Catskill is so sloppy. Like that whole Catskill section is just, dude, I love the Catskills. I hardly ever did that trail.
Yeah. It's one of those Catskills trails that you avoid. Be like, nah, maybe I'll do it in the winter.
I'll just go up Indian Head instead.
Yeah, correct. So that was my previous hike. So Catskill news, once again, volunteer 3500 Club, Catskill Trail Crew, Catskill Mountain Club, Visitors Center. Anywhere you can volunteer could make an absolute difference in the Catskills. Anywhere a local around you, it doesn't matter. Just volunteer, do some trail maintenance. It can make a huge difference in your local trail. So, Josh, I don't have any Catskill Mountain history time today. Sorry about that. There's going to be some booze in the crowd. But usually I do a Catskill Mountain history thing, and I was going to do something about the Escarpment Trail, but I couldn't find anything.
Well, let's see. Historically speaking, Escarpment Trail, that's one of the longer standing trail races in the States. Is that true?
Yes, 1977 is when Dick Vincent came up with that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's pretty rad.
I had him on the like 3 or 4 episodes ago. He's a pretty cool dude.
I'll have to go back and listen because he is a cool dude. How old is he now?
Oh Jesus, 70 something.
Yeah, dude, he still acts like he's too cool, fucking like he's like a 30-year-old, just ready to go out and party and have a good time, man. Yeah.
Yeah, he hugged me. He hugged me like I was a guy getting freaking wasted with him and stuff like that. I was just like, all right, man.
Big pat on the back, yeah.
Exactly. He was like, hey, what's up, man? Boom. And I was like, holy crap, that hurt. I was like, Jesus. But yeah, so I don't have any history, but I do have some sponsors. So is it time for some new hiking gear in the Catskills? Say no more. Camp Catskill in Tannersville has all your hiking needs: footwear, socks, moisture wicking shirts, freeze dried meals, Catskill merchandise, and more. They have all the essentials for your hiking needs located in Tannersville and online. Check out Camp Catskill anywhere. If you're anywhere around the area, check out Camp Catskill because they have awesome merchandise. Also, if you're ready to hit the trails, make sure you take the scenic route. Scenic Route Guiding is here to help you with your goals, big or small, like Marcy or Slide or Low in their sewers. Check out the Scenic Route Guiding and Gear Rentals on Instagram and Facebook for more information. Also, if you mention the podcast, you can get 10% off. Use the code Mountain Lion. All right. So, time to get on to the guest of the night, Joshua Reidinger.
Let's go.
And his Escarpment Trail run win and his Devil's Path fastest known time. So, Josh, welcome to the show, sir.
There we are.
Yeah, here we are again, introing you into the show. So why don't you, Josh, how about you give a background about yourself, sir?
Man. Well, I grew up in Red Hook across from the Catskills, like I said, but I never really got into hiking until I was a little bit later. I just like ran cross country when I was in middle school to like 9th grade, and then I started smoking cigarettes and kind of fucking off and rode my BMX bike. So I stopped running for quite a while, but I rode a BMX bike, which was actually a pretty athletic thing to do, doing tricks and jumps. It was very anaerobic, powerful, coordinated movement. I felt like that was good for me, but did that for some years and then went to college, dropped that after 2 months. I was like, fuck this. And I got a job as a cable guy, continued smoking and drinking and just like traveling around. And being a cable guy at the age of 19, dude, being a cable guy at the age of 19 is the best because everyone treats you like a fucking man. Like, dude, I'm 19, I'm around a bunch of like 40-plus-year-old guys, at the warehouse in the morning. They're talking about their wives and shit. I'm like, yeah, yeah, just like traveled around, going to people's houses. It was an awesome life experience, but my health was so shitty. I didn't go to the gym. I just ate terribly, and and then smoked and whatnot. And then got out of that job, got into arboriculture, which was an awesome like job outside, hitting ground nests all the time, learn to run away. Otherwise, like within logs and stuff, that was pretty cool. Still smoking cigarettes. And then a buddy of mine, Jim, brought me over to the Catskills for wintertime. We did Platte Clove to Overlook, a pretty mellow trail that the round trip's only like 10 miles and I don't know, 1,500 feet of vert or something like that. But it was awesome. It was freezing cold. I remember it was so fucking cold, and I was like trying to roll a cigarette, and I couldn't, and I was so mad. I was like, I want this cigarette, but I can't roll it because my hands are too cold. And then like shortly after that, I was like, you know what? I need to quit cigarettes and start getting, I don't know, like do something with my life. And like, remember when I said I was in middle school, like daydreaming? Like one of the routes, the avenues of freedom, I thought would be like, be a pro athlete. It's like, I'm going to be a good athlete. So I quit cigarettes at like the age of 25. I'm 32 now. And yeah, started running. But like right when that happened, I think I was in the Catskills, maybe going up Indian Head, and a guy was running down fast. And the Catskills are technical. Like coming down Indian Head's pretty technical. And I was like, whoa, holy shit, dude. Running fast out here. He's like, yep, just finishing up like a 20-mile day. And my mind was like, holy shit, no, like what? You're moving like this at the end of 20, like you're 20 miles in, you're moving like this? And my mind was blown. And then I Googled Devil's Path and like looked for speed records and stuff. And I saw Ben Nephew's name. And then boom, I knew who Ben Nephew was all the time. I saw all the speed records, and all of a sudden this world of athletic or like elite trail running came into my world and my know about. And so from that day, I was like, I'm gonna get this record one day on Devil's Path. And so yeah, I started training, and 6 years later, I got it.
Nice.
That's my background.
So like, did you start like running just regularly on like kind of like pavement flat ground at first, or did you go right to the trails?
Dude, I hate pavement. I freaking hate it, man. I went right to the trails. Fortunately, where I lived in Red Hook, there were some decent trails, like in the Bay. So like Bard College, Montgomery Place, Tivoli Bays. There were good trails. No like really big networks, but I was hardly even running at the time. Like I only needed to go out for 3 miles a day, so that was easy. Because I'd run 3 miles and then blow my calves up, and then have to wait a few days to run again. And I ended up doing that for like months and months and months before I was able to finally run like 20 miles in a week. And what I would do is I'd run like a couple miles every like other day, and then on Saturday or Sunday I'd go over to the Catskills and run Platte Clove to Overlook, that trail that my buddy showed me, and I would just run that trail. Yeah, basically every weekend. I fucking love that trail, and I would always run it like in short shorts, no water, and like these super minimalist shoes, which is how I blew up my calves all the time. Yeah, and like all the better if it was storming and thundering. It just felt so good, like animalistic and like freeing to be out there and do that.
And that's even better that you grew up in and around the Catskills and you started yourself in the Catskills. That's a very big inspiration, basically, to your start, to your like background that goes crazy into the whites, Colorado, setting fastest known times. It's very inspirational to people that, the Catskills aren't just a bunch of little tiny hills that everybody thinks of.
Dude, they're so underrated. Yeah, I mean, it's where I cut my teeth, as they say. But like the Catskills, you can get there are 2,000-foot climbs. There's a lot of big climbs, and it's so technical and engaging. And I almost like it more than the Whites and the Adirondacks. There's something about, like, I love views. Who doesn't love a good view?
Right.
But like when you're in the Catskills, you're just like in this tunnel. Like, and if there's foliage on the trees, because it's all deciduous for the most part, except like some hemlock forests, you're just in this tunnel of green, and it's just such an awesome place to be. And you'll just run and kind of just be on this trail and super engaged, and then suddenly like you pop out of the vista, you're like, oh, holy shit, check that out. And you enjoy it or whatever, then you dive back into the tunnel.
Right. Awesome description. I love that. So you're also an independent coach as well?
Yeah. Yep. I started personal training in, I want to say 2018. Yeah. And then when the pandemic hit, I shifted to things online and started doing more endurance coaching instead of, training people how to do a deadlift in the gym or something. I started doing more research on nutrition, more research on endurance, athletics, particularly running, studying running, and strength. And yeah, now I feel like I have a pretty kind of complete package to give to people to help them go from wherever they're at to get to where they want to be.
What's that independent coaching that you work for?
So a buddy of mine, when I started getting into running, I kind of got into obstacle course racing right off the bat because I have a little more muscle than most runners. So I put my biceps to use and ran and did monkey bars and carried a bucket full of rocks and stuff, and that was pretty good. But there was a guy that I would compete with who was one of the more prevalent coaches in that scene, and he saw me as kind of an opportunity to help him understand more mountain sport, because he's more of like a hybrid athlete. He's like track background, marathon and shorter distance sort of stuff, whereas I kind of immediately started getting into ultra longer distance mountain stuff. So we decided to work together so we could help each other out. He could get info from me, I could get info from him. We could bounce ideas off of each other, help each other with clientele. If he had someone who wanted to do mountain stuff, they could go to me. If I found somebody that wanted to do more hybrid work, they could go over to him. And so yeah, his name's Rich Ryan. He's got a great Instagram profile if you're into hybrid athletics, which is growing in popularity right now, running and lifting heavy shit. It's kind of like CrossFit and running. He's a great guy to follow. But otherwise, I'm the one that's providing all the programming for everybody. I'm just doing it through Training Peaks, which is a great platform. It's like Strava on drugs, but not the kind of drugs you take and think that your friend's chasing you, and trying to kill you. But yeah. It's a great platform for looking at data, collecting data. And So people go on that platform, and then I can like put stuff in a calendar, and then they can see everything in the calendar. They can execute it. Their watch will upload to it. I can look at it, look at paces, heart rates, all that stuff, and if for their progress or like where switches need to be made. And it's a lot of fun, man. It's very
Nice.
analytical.
Yeah, excellent. So I'll tag Rich Ryan in this, and he has a podcast, correct?
Rich Ryan does have a podcast. Yeah, he's actually done a few. He has the Reinforced Running podcast, and now he's on another podcast called Race Brain. He's a very ambitious guy, but he's got great information and love doing this shit. And then he has another podcast that he started with somebody else. What's nice, though, is there's not a lot of overlap. Like, they all are quite specific with their topics onto themselves. And that third one, I think, is called The Mile Hybrid Show, because him and another guy live in Denver, which is a mile above sea level, and they are hybrid athletes. Yeah. So it's the Mile Hybrid Show.
Awesome. So I'll tag that. You're on one of those, correct?
So Rich Ryan and I, we did some podcasts in the past. If you were to scroll way back on the Reinforced Running podcast, you would hear him and I talking about some various stuff like strength training and nutrition. But I just like life got kind of busy, and this podcasting was like kind of too much for me. You know, with all this traveling around, having to be somewhere where there's Wi-Fi, and diving into a topic every week and having to do it. So it was just a little bit much for me.
Cool. Awesome. I'll tag some of that in there. So the Catskills aren't your playground really, like as of right now. So where else have you done some stuff at?
I mean, the Catskills definitely where I've done the most, but what was that? Yeah, it's raining. Can you close that window? Sweet. It's starting to rain out here. Some sun showers.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah, Catskills where I've done most of the stuff, like the Catskill 35. So I've done all the, quote unquote bigger ones. Which, by the way, total bummer that I think a couple of the mountains were private, and they kind of like officially closed them to the public.
Yeah.
Graham
and Double Top.
Yeah. I remember I called ahead of time. I kind of told him that I wanted to go up there, but I don't blame him. But there's a record held by Mike Studi. That's it's the Catskill 35, and I'm like, well, shit. Now what do? Do I call them again and be like, hey guys, make an exception just for me so I can go after Mike's record? Because I think that'd be pretty freaking sweet to do. Or we're gonna have to make something entirely new. Fun. But yeah, I got up to the lights. Yeah, dude. I mean, it's only what 140 miles and maybe 40K a gain or something like that. So it's like the Nolan's 14 of the Catskills of New York.
Do it.
Yeah, one day. So yeah, the Catskills. I kind of went right past the Adirondacks. I don't know why the Adirondacks just don't speak to me too much. Couldn't tell you why. I like the Whites because they're so exposed.
So I have a feeling we both have the same thing. It's the hiking in for 3 miles and then starting your elevation gain. It's just absolute nonsense. I like to start the elevation gain right away and to frickin' get brutally murdered absolutely right away instead of doing that torture of 3 miles of nothing.
Maybe that's part of it.
I think
maybe that's part of it.
It is.
And it's very populated. Like at the Catskills, it might be very populated on 23A, kind of basically run that strip. But as soon as you kind of get out, especially on a weekday, you can kind of get away from people. But I feel like the Adirondacks are always really packed.
Yep.
So maybe that's just me not exploring enough and going to some of the further out peaks. But maybe I just don't want to drive that much and be out there and do all that travel. Whereas the Whites, I feel like I can hang out in Jefferson or Conway and just have some awesome shit right there. And yeah, it's populated as well, but I feel like there's a little more space on the trail. I feel like a lot of the Adirondack trails are a little tighter. And the Adirondacks just are so exposed. You get above tree line, like the Prezi. I love it. You climb it, and then you're above tree line for like 8 miles. And it's just another planet. It's too cool.
Yeah. Good. Do you hike out west a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's like the word like hike. It's like I put everything in Strava as a run. It's like, yeah, I'm hiking, but I'm running every second I possibly can. Like if it's a 30% grade, probably, and it's at 12,000 feet, I'm probably gonna hike it. But I'm gonna be running real soon. So yeah, I mean, I'm doing so much running out here, man. Like I said, the San Juan Mountains are pretty spectacular. So the San Juans are lower west part of Colorado, and it's where like Telluride, Ouray, Silverton.
Oh wow!
So some of those places, and yeah, I mean it's phenomenal. Hard Rock's definitely the most well-known race that occurs in the area, but there's a lot of cool little races and routes. Not too many FKTs, which is kind of surprising to me. Maybe it's just the culture. People are like, "Oh, what do you think? You're so cool. You're gonna FKT it. Just leave it as a Strava segment." I don't know. Maybe I'll go try and put things up on the actual FKT board. But that's something I really enjoyed about the Northeast is there are a lot of FKTs. There's a good handful in the Catskills, which I think I had like 5 of them for a while, and then Steve, and Ben had them all, and then Steve made the rounds.
Yep.
So it's funny you talked before about like Steve and I going back and forth. That was inspired by Nephew and Josh Burns. So Josh Burns and Nephew would go back and forth on some things. Nephew would usually end up on top after enough tries, and then that shit just stood for years. I'm like, Devil's Path stood for like 5 years or something before I did it. So I tagged that and like Cornell Wittenberg Slide and Hunter Mountain and the Blackhead, like Lollipop Loop. And then Steve went around and, he took a bunch of them. And I think Steve and I will go back and forth a little bit on that.
Good. Awesome. That's so crazy. Did you hear my dogs?
The dogs.
Yeah. Did you hear them?
I didn't.
They're freaking going insane. I seriously don't know what they're going insane about.
Are there wasps?
Oh God, that would be horrible. My one dog from Jamaica will probably eat them. So that would be absolutely insane.
Wait, your one dog from Jamaica?
Yes.
Give me more.
So we went down to Jamaica one time, and this dog kept following us along on the beach. So, of course, my wife is insanely in love with dogs, and she kept feeding it. The dog kept coming around with us, and then she's just like, "Hey, maybe we could save this dog." And we're like, "Okay." I'm like, "But we're out here on the beach. Let's freaking enjoy the beach." She's like, "No, I don't want to do that." I'm like, "Whatever." So a person comes along and just like looks at the dog. She's like, "This dog is pregnant." And we're like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, she's like within probably a week or two of being due." And my wife instantly inserts into panic mode and has to save this dog's life. So we eventually don't get enough time to save this dog's life, but not life, but save this dog. But another person steps in and rescues the dog. And there's only 2 shelters in Jamaica. And I don't know if you've ever been down there, but there's wild dogs all over the place there. It's crazy. It's third world country. So this person saves the dog. She has 2 babies and they're adorable, and nobody adopts her. So we eventually adopt her, and her name is Dahlia. And we save her life, and she's here, and she's an absolute insane dog. It's ridiculous. That's why we named her after the band, the Black Dahlia Murder, that I like.
You're in the metal?
Yes, definitely.
Cool, man. Yeah, for sure. You ever been to what is it, the Chance Theater, Poughkeepsie?
Oh, hell yeah.
1 million times, probably.
Oh, dude, I saw Exodus there. It was fantastic.
Right on. Yeah, you're into like heavy stuff, man. I went and seen like After the Burial and August Burns Red, As They Lay Dying, Evergreen Terrace. There's been some good ones there.
Damn. Dude, we are best friends.
Dude, that was a long time ago. Dude, I went to a show when I was, I think, 19. That's when I saw it literally all at the same time. It was like Evergreen Terrace and Misery Signals, followed by August Burns Red, and they were opening for As They Lay Dying. And I'm like, these are the openers? Like, oh my God, it's so good. August Burns Red comes on. They play the song Composure. I'm in the pit. I get punched in the face. I get concussed, and there's blood everywhere. I have to sit on the stairs, like outside the venue, because my head hurts too much to be in there and listen to As They Lay Dying. It was too loud. Great experience. Great time. Really great.
Dude. Wow. Awesome. I just actually saw August Burns Red last Christmas. They had Christmas Burns Red here.
Oh, yes.
And dude, Era and my God, just a bunch of different amazing bands. That was just Phineas, one of my favorite bands, was there. And I don't know if have you ever heard of Phineas?
No.
Oh, dude, if you like metalcore, these guys are the elite of metalcore.
Yeah.
So
send me something after this.
Sweet. So, God, Josh, you are the coolest. I'm sorry. Metal. Let's get on back to the discussion. Let's try to get away from metal, but I don't want to.
The dog, backtrack the dog.
Yes. Once again. So you just did the escarpment run. How was your first? Was that your first experience?
So that was my second experience. I actually met
Second.
Steve doing the first one years ago. Him and I had actually, I forget who put it together. I don't know if it was Michelle Marilis or somebody else, but she was there along with maybe just like 7 or 8 of us, all in all, to do a like practice run of the Escarpment Trail. And I ran that with Steve and we became like best friends. And then, yeah, I guess the real race was a couple weeks later, and it was so hot. And I was still pretty early on in my whole fitness thing. And I just had a terrible, terrible race. It was so uncomfortable. I ran like 3:30 something.
Okay. So I went into a little deep dive in, and I was just like, I'm going to look in the past like 5-6 years to see if Josh actually participated in this event. And I didn't see you, and I'm just like, it's no way that this guy participated and then did a 251 in 2023. So you actually did. So was there?
And I had run it before as well. So yeah, I knew, and just the Catskills in general, there's kind of consistencies with the trails and what to expect. The skill sets that you need to be able to run those trails well.
What'd you think of your second time? Was it fantastic? Was it tough? Was it?
For the most part, it couldn't have gone better. Of course, I would have loved to go a little bit faster, put a little bit more pressure on Lee's time. But the fact of the matter is the climbing there is non-technical. All the technicalities on the descents, so the climbs, it's an absolute fitness challenge or fitness test. And he's fitter and lighter. I just got some work to do there, but I couldn't have been happier, man. I mean, I was kind of experimenting with a new like nutrition protocol going into it. Basically, it's consisting of drinking Gatorade all day the day before and really saturating my glycogen stores beforehand, and then having a really good nutrition program, kind of pushing the calories in the race, doing like I think maybe three count it, but it was maybe like 360 or 380 calories an hour during the race. And yeah, the weather was pretty cool. The trail wasn't too wet. Not that I think it made that much of a difference. And I got to basically lead it from start to finish. I was stoked. Super happy. It was a good day.
Awesome. So you did it 251. What was the record? Like 242 or something like that?
I believe it is 242 and change.
Wow,
Yeah.
you were so 9 minutes. That's close.
It's funny. It's like, oh, it's so close, but like, it's so far. But I can see where all the time was. I mean, he had, I think it was 2.5 minutes on the first climb. I think he had maybe 5 minutes on the second climb. I really did not have a great climb up
Blackhead
climb. And yeah. And then he had a couple minutes on me on Stopple. So I was making up a minute on the descents. He was getting, 3+ on all the climbs. So that's what you get. Are
you going to keep going back and trying to set that record, sir?
I most certainly will go back at some point, but I don't know when that's going to be because it's on the East Coast in July, and July is friggin' hot, man. Like, there's a reason van life mostly takes place out west. It's because it's dry. It's dry, and it's a little bit easier to get to a climate that is tolerable, while living in a vehicle like this. And yeah, the East Coast in summertime is not an awesome place. The mosquitoes, the heat, the humidity. It sucks. So this past year we had flown in mostly to surprise my mom. It was her 70th birthday. So sorry, Mom, everyone knows how old you are now. But we flew in to surprise her. It just happened that the Escarpment was the next day. And so I went to sign up and Dick was like, yeah, for sure, dude. Yeah, let's go. So that ended up just kind of working out. So I love the race. Don't know when I'll do it though. Because dude, there's so many races in this world. Like, what to choose? There's so many. And Escarpment is like this legendary, like I love the East Coast. There's some races where you like get that kind of like local legend status, it's just like they mean a lot to the local community and they're just rad routes. But like the big boys, it's a lot of West Coast races. It's a lot of stuff out here, where the real competition is, a greater density of competition as well as density of races.
Yeah, of course. So, one of the big thoughts I have with trail running is that it's physically challenging, of course, but like mentally challenging is got to be the name of the game. How do you push through that mentally challenging parts? Like, that's got to be insane.
This is a tough one, man, especially as now I hear him. Yes.
Is that the
Jamaican one? Yes.
Yep. That's the Jamaican dog. She doesn't react well to any other dogs.
Yep. Quick aside, have you seen Cool Runnings?
Yes.
Just making sure. Okay.
Yeah,
Tonka, you
yeah,
good, man?
man. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Just making sure. Yeah, so it's a tough one, especially as a coach, to like try and teach the mental side of things. Everyone's different, you know. Some people want to go Goggin style and be like, "Who's gonna carry the boats?" You know, and they get like mad at shit, and that works for them. And other people are like, "You know what? I'm just grateful to be out here. Here I am. I'm gonna do my best," and that works for them. It's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to coach, but like for me, I feel like it's just always kind of come naturally. I always kind of wanted to be like a Navy SEAL or some sort of badass and just to have all these skill sets or whatever. And between that or whatever sort of like innate thing I feel, maybe it's genetic because my dad liked to run through the woods. He wasn't an athlete; he just liked to like run through the woods, like feel like a Native American or something. Maybe I got a part of that, but it doesn't suck at all, man. I think it doesn't feel mentally hard. To me, it's like, fuck yeah, I'm out here like an animal.
Yeah.
Literally, like what is a human? A human, we're just, you know, we call all these other creatures animals. Well, maybe you can, instead of saying like a tiger's an animal, no, a tiger is a tiger. You know, Wolverine's a Wolverine. A human's a human. All of those are animals. So you know, this bipedal creature running down the trail, like it just feels very natural and it feels kind of rooted to something that's very pure and fundamental as a human. So it feels very right. And also, it's just like there's always gratitude for being able to do it. I'm like, man, I'm not injured. I'm healthy. There's people that are like sedentary and stuck on a fucking couch, and it's like here I am able to climb to 13,000 feet and get this vista. Like that is, I've worked hard for that, and it's such a gift to be able to do it. So there's always like this positivity around it. So it never sucks. It never really, maybe it like it hurts, but I'm like, oh, okay, I'm 15 minutes in, time to consume 100 calories, oh, I'm an hour in, I drink a liter of water. Like there's just kind of things to think about as I go through it, but otherwise it's a good time.
Wow. So it's a positivity that you're out there challenging yourself, pushing yourself to another level to basically achieve something that you haven't achieved before is what you basically see and what you want to do.
Yeah. And I'm just, I feel like there's a lot of ways to get into an altered state, like an altered state of consciousness, whether it's like a psychedelic or weed
Hey.
or a substance or something, but like running also can do that. You got like a lot of endorphins, your heart's pumping really fast, just
right?
A little bit of adrenaline. It's like a really heightened state. And one of the reasons I love the Catskills so much is because they're so technical that you can't really think. You have to transcend thinking and enter a flow state where you are literally able to react quicker than your prefrontal cortex can actually process information. So like flow state is the superior, it's not even a thought process. It's just a brain function where you can act in a superior manner to actually like thinking,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like you see that rock, but you don't even like, you're not really thinking about putting your foot there. You just do. And then the next one, you're just floating over the train. You're not like intellectualizing like, oh, here's a rock there and there. And that one's mossy. Like it all happens so quick. And it's such a fun, unique state of mind to be in.
Yeah. And that's the way I see it with you guys is basically, you're running down the trail, you're going down on the descent, and you're just like, you have that adrenaline rush. Like, man, I'm making some freaking good time. And then you get that huge adrenaline rush to go up. And you guys like, I'm sorry to say, fuck yeah, I'm going to freaking push this to the ultimate max. So it's the adrenaline rush that you guys get. And it's like that high of just pushing it to the next level of yourself. You're like, man, I can do this. I can do this. You guys are insane.
Dude, yeah, it's I also would be lying. Like there's the whole flow state thing where there's kind of like this lack of intellectualizing what's happening. You're just kind of feeling things. But also sometimes I'm thinking about it. I'm intellectualizing what I'm doing. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, this is some alpha shit. It's empowering. It's empowering, So yeah, that's there. It's there.
I agree. So with the escarpment run, was what part was the most challenging for you?
I mean the climb up Blackhead. I would have loved to run the entire thing. But I just felt like my calves were going to cramp up because training at altitude, I'm getting a really good cardiovascular stimulus. Breathing heavy. There's less oxygen availability, And so I'm definitely straining my aerobic system more, but that's been potentially keeping me from really pushing my legs muscularly and metabolically. And I really felt that at Escarpment, where I was able to breathe fine. I was very comfortable, like from the waist up, but my legs were working very hard. Yeah, wasn't really able to
Awesome.
push that super steep climb.
But still, you crushed it. I mean, you didn't crush the record, but you still crushed the time. I'm trying to remember. I should have wrote down what the next person was behind you. Do you remember the second place
Uh,
person?
I want to say Dawson was, I believe it was Dawson. I want to say he was a little over 5 minutes. I don't remember if he was 2:57 and change. I want to
Okay.
say.
I thought it
Yeah.
was a little bit more than that. I thought it was like 3:02. So,
No,
but
I think he was. I think he was under 3. So it was either 59 or 57. But I'll say
still,
57. He was.
still, that's
It's good. Yeah. He was climbing good. He's a young kid too, man. I always get really inspired. The younger someone is, it's almost like I see they have a longer runway in front of them, more opportunity. They have more time to do this stuff. So the fact that he's, whatever, 6, 7, 8 years younger than me, he's already able to do that. I'm like, dude, you got a
yeah.
great future, man. Keep it going. As long as you're having fun, keep going.
Yeah. And it's funny you say 6, 7, 8 years. You're just like, damn, that's a long time.
Oh my
Shit.
God, man. I mean, I wouldn't change anything about my life, but I definitely acknowledge the differences in ability between myself, who really got into running at the age of 25 after putting on a bunch of muscle, by the way. Like, I did a lot of weight training in my early 20s. I'm 40 pounds heavier than most elite runners. But like the guys that just like ran from a young age through college, didn't burn out, had a healthy relationship with it, and continued on, those are the guys that are making huge waves right now. The 14-minute 5Ks or sub 14-minute 5Ks in college, and then found trail running. Those guys are doing some crazy stuff right now, and that's really awesome.
Yeah. So the funny thing is me and my friend, when we were hiking the other part of the escarpment. I probably saw you at one time because we came in at like 3 hours and 6 minutes. So you were probably somewhere standing around. So I kind of regret don't like I have no, to be honest, I had no clue who you were before. I had no clue who anybody was running the escarpment. So I probably could have said hi to you at the time. So I'm sorry about that.
That's right. Our spirits were they matched.
They were there. I was basically saying, God, these guys are freaking psychos.
Thank you.
Yeah. So next topic, Devil's Path, fastest known time. So you and Steven have been going at it back and forth. So what's the deal with that? You saw him set it and you were just like, screw this, I'm setting it again.
Well, so like I said, Josh Burns and Ben Nephew went back and forth on it a couple times. They were in the low 5-minute area. Ben finally did for 53 and change. I want to say 53:46. And yeah, I finally, like I said, when I kind of got into running, I found Devil's Path. It's like, I'm gonna fucking get that. 6 years later, I really actually made a good attempt at it. I thought it'd be a good idea to do it fully self-supported. I'm like, I'm gonna park at Spruceton and bike to the start. So I biked like 20-something miles with over 1,000 feet to try and actually set it. My legs ended up blowing up, and I ended up basically hiking down Westkill. I was just so dead and ran like 5:15. It's like, all right, I'm gonna get driven next time. And then so I forget how long after that was, but yeah, ended up doing like 4:35. Like, really fucking took some time off of it. Sometimes you just have days, and I mean, yeah, dude, it was just one of those days where like everything lined up, like absolute flow state, good nutrition, decent temperatures. It was nice and cool. Cool temps are usually better for running faster. And yeah, ended up chopping off 20 minutes off Ben's time. And then Steve's like, man, I want to do it. I'm like, Steve, you should please do, because that'll make me more stoked to go for it again. And so Steve finally did, and he chopped off a minute. I'm like, you bitch, a minute. Damn. So, but then Jack Kenzel. So I don't know if you saw, but Jack Kenzel has the supported time. So
yeah,
Devil's Path is definitely a route that traditionally has been done in an unsupported manner. Like, you can get water going up plateau. You can get water if you decide to drink from it from the spigot at 214, and then you can again get water if you have a water filter. Because I don't filter the water on plateau, but you could use a filter for the what bridge? What the hell's the
Uh,
bridge? The Diamond Notch, I think it is,
yeah.
between Hunter and Westkill.
Yep. The
So
waterfalls.
yeah, so you can do it unsupported pretty easily. You just got to spend a few minutes to do the whole water filtration thing and all that jazz. But Jack kind of just showed up. He like ran the route once and was like, you know what, I don't want to deal with logistics. I'm gonna get some people to just like hand me stuff on the route. So he ended up having people hand him stuff on the route. He ran 4:13 and change because Jack's a monster. If you've been following what he's been doing. And yeah, that's what he did. So they're different categories. Like he did it supported, I did it unsupported. But when I went to do it, I wanted to beat Steve's time, but I also want to get close to Jack's time. So I was like, I'm still going to do it in an unsupported fashion. So I
Wow.
did go for it again. I was making really good time. I thought I was actually going to get pretty close to Jack's time. However, when I got over Mink Hollow, I started having, was it Mink Hollow? Yeah, going to Plateau. I had a little bit of twinge in my leg. I was like, oh shit, that's like that adductor cramp up thing. I'm like, all right, bro, pull back the effort just a tiny bit. And so I ended up running like not as fast as I felt like I could have had I run the route maybe a few times beforehand. Let me clarify on that. Like I've run Devil's Path probably a dozen times now, but when I set the record this most recent time, the unsupported one at 4:24 or whatever it was, I had just come from the West Coast and hadn't really done any technical running like that. Or in the Catskills, like sometimes you have to take really big high steps because there's kind of bouldery stuff. That really takes a lot of muscular strength. It kind of stresses the adductors, and I hadn't gotten my legs. My cardio was good, but my legs weren't used to that terrain, and so I started to like cramp up a little bit. So the effort felt great, my legs, and I felt great after I recovered really good from that because I couldn't push as hard as I wanted to. But Steve, I don't think he's going to go for it again. I don't know. He's still working on. He's got some things to figure out. He doesn't really stick to a training plan. Steve, if you're listening to this, I'm calling you out.
Yes. He was on this before, by the way. I had him like 2 days after he set the fastest known time. So hopefully he'll listen to this.
Good. Yeah, I love Steve. He's an absolute spirit. He's so talented. But he's kind of gotten a couple of injuries. I think he's crushing on the bike right now. But I think if he put it in like a really good specific training block and could actually stick to it, because he wants to go have fun doing these other things. He's not like really regimented on the training. So he could get it, I think, if he wanted to. But anyways, Jack still has the overall record, and I'm like, man, Devil's Path has got to go sub 4 one day. It's just like that's the next logical step. Like it's possible somehow. So I'll make another push for it. I'll probably do it in a supported fashion, just because I know that my stops for water and like figuring out nutrition and carrying, that extra bottle, that extra like couple pounds. I think that to do it in a supported fashion, I could probably chop off 5 minutes just like that, just from being supported, and then just kind of doing a couple more specific runs this time, unlike last time. I think that would all accumulate to the 11 minutes I need to chop off to beat Jack's time.
Nice.
So yeah, maybe we'll go for it.
A big question I have with the trail running is when a lot of people talk about cramping. How do you overcome with trail running that cramping within the time you have to make? Like with me trail running, cramping, I get cramps. I just freaking eat I just have electrolytes like crazy, but you have that certain sense of time that you need to like get this gone or you're screwed.
Yeah. So you're talking about cramping within an effort, within a race.
Yeah.
If within a race, I mean, try and figure out what led to the cramping. Was it a certain running style, and then try and take on a style of running, a gait that minimizes the use of that muscle that's cramping? Or electrolytes. I think that they've shown that vinegar can actually be helpful. I forget the mechanism, but that's why like pickle juice or mustard or hot sauce can actually all be useful. It's literally just there's a reaction that happens that your tongue senses, and it tells your brain that like shit's okay, and it just causes that cramping area to just kind of release. It's science. It works. Well, It works sometimes, because here's the thing: a muscle cramp isn't always because of electrolytes. You just might not have put that muscle through appropriate strain. So that's why I say, sometimes electrolytes aren't going to do it. Maybe try that, do that, check in on your hydration stats and all that, but you might just have to change the way you're running because you didn't train that muscle to do the thing that you're trying to ask it to do. So you got to change shit up, slow down, you got to peel back the effort and the power, and yeah, just kind of keep going. But yeah, before the race, prepare as best as you can for the event. That way your muscles aren't freaked out by the thing you're asking them to do. So if you're going to take high steps in training, you got to take some high steps. Actually, the biggest thing that I changed for Devil's Path the second time around was I took smaller steps. Instead of taking big hiking strides, I did more of what like a short running gait. So really small steps with a higher cadence. And that kept me in more of this powerful range muscularly, got me from really straining and stretching my muscles.
Wow. Unbelievable. See, this is why you need an independent coach like Josh, because this guy will freaking tell you the shit that you need to get to be some of the best stuff, or you need to push yourself to the absolute limit and have the best. Yeah, right. Like unbelievable. Like that explains basically a lot of questions, that I've had. It's just, how do you guys freaking do this? And basically training yourself, having your muscles adapt to what the terrain you're going to be doing, because going out west, is completely different than out east and stuff like that. So that's awesome. What a great way to explain that is train yourself, number one, and also the hydration and electrolytes can help, but it's basically the way you're stepping and stuff like that. Phenomenal. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate that question. Also, so wrapping this basically up, any close calls while you've been out in the trail, like any times of when you've been like, oh shit, I might need a rescue, or this might not be a good time?
Yeah. I kind of like when those happen. I don't try to really put myself in dumb situations, but I'll definitely push the envelope. There's a book that I feel like I've read, Abby's read, and a bunch of our friends have read. It's called Bone Games. And I forget who it's by Rob Schultes, I think. And ultimately, it's this guy that goes into the mountains, ends up having an epic, like slides off the side of a mountain, needs to self-rescue because he has no service. He's going to fucking die out there. And he rescues himself. But what he realizes after he rescues himself, get back to the car, he just sits in the car and is like, I don't know how did I do that? He's ultimately talking about flow state, how he just transcended his previous ability. And so getting into like crazy situations can ultimately make it so you have to like transcend your previous self as far as maybe your ability, or like you didn't know you could do something, whether that's like climb out of a crevasse or handle hyperthermia or something. But yeah, I've had a lot of those, man. I feel like recently I'm not putting myself in too crazy situations because of grindstone. Like I have a major race coming up, so I'm trying to like mitigate that injury risk by not going too wild. But yeah, I think fondly back to actually one of the first big mountains I did, Mount Shasta, which is in California,
Nice.
Southern California. Beautiful mountain, by the way. I mean, the Cascades are pretty epic because they're standalone volcanoes. So you're talking about mountains that are 14,000, but they have over 10,000 feet of relief. So they are truly massive. Like when I go into Silverton, I'm already at 10,000 feet. The mountains are only 3,000 to 4,000 feet high. But yeah, these mountains standalone are so tall, so much prominence. And I went up this route, Cassavell Ridge, and it was I was going solo. And Cassavell Ridge is one of the more technical routes. It's you're on the side of like a 70-degree slope, so like you would be using ice tools. You'd be using ice tools and stuff. And if you were to have a fall, you would, if you didn't self-arrest, you were going to pick up so much speed and slide thousands of feet down into rocks, which would likely be fatal. So I'm going across this ridge. I get to this one section where you either have to go under this spire on snow to the other side, or climb up some rocks over it, which was shorter and more direct. And like when I was up there, I wasn't sure about the snowpack, the way that it looked wind loaded around the spire, and I was afraid I might trigger an avalanche and slide. So I went for the rock route. So I started making my way up the rock. I have crampons on my boots. I have poles that I put away, and I put them in my pack. I'm trying to use my hands, but it's freezing cold out there. And I remember grabbing onto this rock and pulling myself over, and like I can hardly feel my hand. And so I couldn't really sense how hard I was grabbing the rock or how good my grip was. It was just totally numb. And so I'm just like looking at my hand on this rock, and I'm like, if that slips, I fall back, I probably die. But I ended up pulling myself up over really slowly and grabbed another rock. There were like 3 moves. It was like a short sequence of a few moves that I had to get over. And each one of them, I was just like, I can't believe I'm doing this right now. this is so fucking dangerous. Like I can't down climb. I'm committed. I can hardly feel what I'm doing. I'm just like praying to God or something like, and I ended up making it over and just like stand there and be like, did it sick,
Yeah,
you know.
right.
And then the rest of the day was awesome. But it's like there's a moment where you realize like this either is going to be the best day ever, or my parents are going to get the worst call of their life.
Right. Oh man, that's it. I've heard of Shasta, and it's funny. Did you do that all in one day?
I did. So this was earlier on. My fitness wasn't as great, so I ended up camping at what was the
Okay.
name of it? Horse camp. You go past Bunny Flats. It's like at 10,000 feet on the west side, or like lookers left of Castle Ridge.
Okay. Yeah. My one of my friends did that, and they did the camping and stuff like that right on the snow or the glacier or whatever it was. And I'm just like fascinated that you guys can do that. That's just absolutely phenomenal.
Shasta's dope, man. I mean, I think that that's a pretty accessible mountain. I think the Cascades, with the exception of like Rainier, to my knowledge, are pretty accessible to most people. Like it's high altitude, but there's a lot of non-technical routes. Like I did Castle Ridge because it was technical, but you can go up like Avalanche Gulch, which if someone goes up before you, you basically have stepping stairs, from their boots kicking in, and you can rent the gear and hop up there, and there's guides out there. And I think that's the coolest thing about guys. And one of your sponsors, I think you said was a guide. But I think it's one of the coolest things because it brings people into the mountains and instills them with the skill sets and the confidence to go and do it on their own afterwards. And then
Yeah.
it's just like opening a huge door to go do this stuff.
Correct. And that's what they're there for. They're there for to teach you basically some stuff you might have not known, and going up Shasta or Rainier, stuff like that. I saw a reel on Instagram of Rainier today, and I was just like, absolutely fucking not. I'm never doing that crap. I don't feel like falling. Not again, but I'm never going to do that crap where I can maybe fall into a 200-foot crevasse or something like that. No way.
It's dangerous, man. That's where part of the excitement comes. With enough risk, there has to be the right amount of risk to get like an extreme amount of reward. If there's never risk in anything, you're not going to feel a heavy amount of reward. So, man, push yourself on that downhill, or like sign up for that race that you're not sure about. Like, and push your envelope.
Yeah. I maybe someday. I've been to some crazy stuff in the Canadian Rockies. We're doing some glacial walks, but nothing like
Ooh.
like Rainier and stuff like that,
Oh
But
my gosh.
have you been up to Canadian Rockies?
No, but you mentioning
Do it.
Glacier Walk, also, it's definitely on the list, but I'm pretty sure there's grizzlies up there.
Oh, there was. We actually, one little sec, like we ran
Hard
into,
no.
we went up to a mountain on the eastern side of the Canadian Rockies. And when we were going up, it's called Westwind Pass. We were coming down, and my wife's checking out the trail, just keeping her head down, watching for all these roots. And all of a sudden I see a grizzly bear head pop up like 50, 75 feet away. And I'm just like, ha! And I like pull her back. I'm like, go back up. There's a grizzly bear. And she panic attacks and freaking runs.
Oh my God.
I take 2 pictures of this, and then I like step down and move some stuff, and it looks up again, and then it falls down like a huge steep embankment. I'm like, oh my God, I killed it. I felt so bad, but yeah, there's grizzly bears up there. But dude, you need to go up there if you want to see the most. Yes, you need to go up there if you want to see the most beautiful place in the world is the Canadian Rockies.
Man, I look forward to adding it to the list, but I got to say, I've seen the High Sierra, I've seen the Andes Mountains, Patagonia, I've been here in San Juan.
Oh, okay.
And every time I
Never
go
mind.
back to New York, I'm like, the Catskills are more beautiful every time. I'm like, look at these luscious hills. Oh God,
Thank you.
they're so
That's
beautiful. I love the Catskills.
Thank you. That's great. That's great to hear, because everybody's like, oh, Adirondacks, White Mountains. I'm like, Catskills.
Man.
They bring
Yeah,
us back.
I'll tell you what. There's so on the east side of the river in a town called Rhinebeck, there's a tower called Ferncliff Tower. That tower has potentially the best view of the Catskills during sunset that exists. It's one of the best views I've ever seen, period. I mean, with the Hudson River right there, which is such a massive river, and the mountains, and it's just like, and like knowing the history and like both of humankind, as well as like Native Americans, as well as geographically, like the glacier, and just kind of like seeing all that happen. Phenomenal spot. I mean, one of the best things that I've ever seen. My favorite places, even though I've been to all those other places.
This guy knows the Catskills. So Josh recommends Fern Cliff Tower. I've been there before and it's fantastic. So Josh, one last question. Gear recommendations for trail running. What do you have to recommend?
Well, that's pretty easy as far as footwear goes. On the East Coast, it's VJ shoes all the way. They have the best rubber compound on the bottom of the shoes. They're second to none. A lot of the rocks in the on the East Coast have that little bit of lichen and moss on them. Then it just almost feels
Yeah.
like they're always a little slick and wet. And if they are wet, they're super fucking slick. So the VJ shoes, I mean, the rubber just grips like nothing else. They're like suction cups. So I wear the Extreme 2s for escarpment. And when I go for Devil's Path again, I'll probably wear that same shoe. When I did Devil's Path previously, I had done it in the IROC, which I don't know if they still put out, but the Extreme 2 has more of a substantial underfoot for protection. But yeah, they got awesome shoes for the Northeast. I will say out here, I'll give them a shout out, Speedland. I think they're doing some cool stuff. I'm using their shoe more out here because just the type of terrain. It's not really a lot of wet stuff. It's very dry out here. So they're rubber compound and the shoes is really comfy and it does really good for long days in these big mountains. But yeah, VJ shoes for East Coast stuff. Otherwise, man, as far as gear goes, I wear cheap socks from Amazon, the cheapest compression shorts I can find. No real special gear. To me, it's the footwear, GPS workout watches. Naked belt. That's a huge one, man. That thing is so good.
What?
It's called Naked Belt. So I think their Instagram is Naked Innovations. It has nothing to do with nudity, but it's the belt feels like you're hardly wearing anything. So I think belts are getting more popular. I prefer them because I just don't like my chest being constricted by a vest. If I got to carry a bunch of shit, which in the high country I usually do, just for safety and food and all that, I'll wear a vest. But like for a Escarpment race, if I'm only going to be out for a few hours, I'm wearing a naked belt. It has 3 big pouches. It's super comfortable. Wow. There's no zipper or anything that can come undone. You literally you step into it and pull it up, and it sits on your waist. And it's sized, so it's not adjustable. So it's a one size. I should say it's not adjustable, but they have fucking 20 sizes. So just measure your waist and figure out what size is for you. But anyways, yeah, that thing's awesome. I can carry a jacket, headlamp, 2 bottles, a couple of snacks.
Wow,
that thing's
unbelievable. Great. Like this stuff that's coming up is absolutely fantastic. So.
They're good things, man. I got no sponsors. I'm kind of by choice. I've had some opportunities, but I enjoy the freedom of just using what I want and not having to post shit. So if you see me post about something on my Instagram, it's because I really like it. It's not because someone's paying me to do so.
That's awesome. That is fantastic stuff. So with you being a local basically to the Catskills area, I have a thing called Post Hike Brews and Bites to recommend for places to eat in the Catskills, get some local influence on where people should go. So what is your suggestion on after an awesome hike to go to in the Catskills?
Well, considering Devil's Path is my favorite trail, and I've done it more times than basically any other trail, you probably know I'm going to say Westkill Brewery.
Everybody, it's right there, man. I love it.
It's right there, dude. It's right there, and they're doing a nice job. They got the food truck there. I haven't been there in a little while, but they were working on the building. They got good brews. I think they had a really good stout. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, that's a cool spot. I would love to shout out to an up and coming place that doesn't already have a huge following, but I just don't know where those places are at. So Westkill's the place to hang.
I agree. And that's the thing. So how long, you said you've been hiking the Devil's Path for a long time. Were you around when the Westkill was just starting? Do you remember those days?
Well, you tell me, because I've never really been a big drinker. Anytime that I've gone to Westkill, it's usually because of course with a friend and they're like, yo, we're going to the spot. I'm like, for sure. I'll go and I'll get 1 beer and eat a snack on the hillside that they have there. So 2016 or 17 is when I first did it.
Those are the early days where they had basically pretzels to eat. I'm the same as you. I don't drink beer. I like to drink like liquor and stuff like that. So I went there and I was just like, oh, they're gonna have food there, and they're like, yeah, we have pretzels, and I'm like, I want a massive freaking burger or some pork sandwich or something like that. Do you have that? And like, we have pretzels, and I'm like, that's nothing after a hike. I'm like, I need freaking food.
Yeah, I think things have changed.
Yes, they have a kind of permanent food truck in there. So if you're ever back in there, check it out. It's got some pretty decent food.
Rock and roll. That's why I love this bus. It's like my food truck. I finish a run, I come back to it, and I can just like whip up a fat meal.
Do you have a kitchen in there?
I got a Coleman stove that I just bust out and screw a propane tank into. Yeah, I'll give you a gentle tour. All right, give you a gentle
Sweet.
tour. So let's see. This is the you enter here. We got shoes, my girlfriend's shoes, some of my shoes. Yeah, I mean there's a lot of shoes. Oh, here's the BJ. Here's the Extreme. This thing's fucking awesome, dude. This thing.
Oh, those aren't like what I think it was. Wow, those aren't even like the weird ones where it like shows your toes.
No, dude, these things shred. They're a little tight, like they're narrow, but when it comes to agility on those trails, you don't want to have any wiggle room. You want to have a fucking weapon. You want that thing to be tight. So that's why I like those. So yeah, got a little curtain to close up, but some books.
Nice.
Food. This is like pantry. This is the stove. More food. This place is basically all food, dude. We eat so much food. It's unbelievable. The bar where we set up cooking, bed, ukulele, foam roller, water, cooler, skis, bikes, spare tire, chainsaw, because I have a side job I'm doing with chainsaw right now. But yeah, pretty simple.
Wicked, man. You are awesome. I love it. You are an inspiration, man.
I appreciate it, man. I'll tell you what, if you're looking to get into whether you want to like do van life full time or you're just looking to build a sweet like adventure rig, I honestly couldn't recommend a bus enough. Because like I looked at ProMasters and Sprinters and all of these vans that people were building out, and those things just as to buy it new as a shell, $40,000 minimum. To buy it used, they held their value so much. I was still looking at like over $15,000 for something with 200,000 miles on it. So a buddy of mine, a mechanic, recommended buses because they ended up having low mileage. It's a lot of stop and go, but these things don't get sold because they're broken. The school, it's in their budget for a new fleet. And so they just get rid of the buses, get a new fleet. There's not necessarily anything wrong with these. And they were kept up to DOT standards the entire time for their bus career.
Okay.
So a bus has one owner. It was a school. It was kept up to standards for DOT. And yes, there's so many of them that supply and demand, they go for dirt cheap. So I picked this up for $6,000 with 100,000 miles on it. It's a Chevy 2500. It's got a great motor, great transmission. All you got to do is rip the seats out. And you got an empty shelf to do whatever your creative mind wants to do. So it's a good financial decision, and it's very fun if you're a DIY person.
Well, when I get mine, I'm going to send you a picture. It's probably going to be like a week. All right. So Josh, thank you for joining the show. I just want to give a big shout out to this monthly supporters. Thank you guys for supporting the show. Thank you to everyone who has donated. Thank you to everyone who is listening. Also, a big thank you to the sponsors of the show. Really appreciate you guys sponsoring the show and supporting me. Keep going on with Josh here, who made this one of my favorite episodes because it's the most lean back episodes I've ever had. I've never had anybody swearing or having this much fun and smiles as this. So really fantastic episode.
Fantastic, buddy. I'm glad to hear that, man. I had a good time. So shouts to all the sponsors, especially Molly up there in the mountains taking photos, people getting wet and shit. That's cool.
I know. It's so cool. So follow her on Instagram. It's absolutely fantastic. So Josh, Josh, thank you for joining the show. Hopefully you can set many FKTs or anything you want to, man. Wish you luck in anything. Let's keep in touch, man. I just got to keep hearing your stuff, man. I really appreciate you joining the show.
Thank you for those wishes, brother. I appreciate that.
All right. Have a good night, buddy. Keep in touch.
Yeah. Hey, send me that band.
Hell yeah.
Hey guys, I just want to thank you for listening to the show. If you enjoyed the show, subscribe and throw down a smooth review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any podcast platform that you use. You can also check daily updates of the podcast, hikes, hiking memes, and local news on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and the official website of the show. Remember this, you just keep on living, man. LIVIN.
Wicked, 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 wicked.